So another close game of the Rugby World Cup has just come to a close. Japan 28, Samoa 22. Now this game had a lot of ups and downs for these two teams. Japan, they played a very strong game of rugby at times. Still having a few errors, which I know they will be hoping to improve on before they get to that game up against Argentina. For next week, Samoa, they showed late heart in this game, but the discipline throughout their first 60 minutes was what hurt them. But in this review, we will be looking through at the players who stepped up, the statistics to do with this matchup, and also where to from here for not just Japan, but also for the Samoans, now that their hopes of the Rugby World Cup have come to a close. But looking first of all at the try scorers throughout this game, we did see the early try scored by Peter Labaskachny. That was in about the 13th minute of the contest. The next try for the Japanese was Michael Leach in the 32nd, and then Kazuki Himeno scoring in the second half. So all three of their loose forwards getting themselves over the try line. Throughout this match for the Samoans, we saw Sailor Lalam score in the 38th minute. We also saw Duncan Paiaua score in the 65th, and Christian Lealiafano right near the end of the game, and that was when it seemed like Samoa had a chance at a late comeback. But in the end, just not quite able to get that last line out right. I should mention we saw quite a few cards throughout this game. One yellow card for the Japanese hooker Shota Hori, and then also for the Samoans, a yellow card for Jonathan Tamatine, and then a red card for Ben Lam, who unfortunately did not have the best performance throughout this matchup. And that is actually what we will say about a few of the Samoans a bit later on. But looking at some of the key players throughout this game, Michael Leach, he made 18 tackles throughout this fixture, doing very well for his side, alongside being able to score the try. The most running meters, it was Lamanu Lameki, a man who came in at fullback last week due to the injury of Mazirewa. And to be honest, I don't think they will be changing that for next week's game up against Argentina. He was sensational, having a lot of those running meters like I mentioned, and just looked very stable at the back, which is exactly what the Japanese will want. The most offloads in this game came from Duncan Paiaua with the 5, and then the most carries crossing the gain line in this game was Tamua Manu, put in a big shift for Samoa at number 13. He was probably the pick of the backs. Also a few of the other stats, 52% in possession and territory for Samoa, so just having that ball that little bit more, and I assume that that was probably just in their favour because of those last 5 or so minutes when they did get a lot more of the ball. The running meters in this game were extremely close. 395 for Samoa, 393 for the Japanese. Both sides beating plenty of defenders, 24 for Samoa, 18 for Japan. And then also looking at the penalty count, 12 penalties against the Samoans, 10 against Japan. So both sides will still want to improve that a little bit before they head to next week's games. But for the Samoans, they only have one missed opportunity when it came to that line out or scrum. Everything else was 100%, except for that last throw that did end up going astray for Japan. They were able to be relatively clinical when they had that backline firing, whether that was with Matsushima running down the wing. Lameki was also extremely solid, like I mentioned earlier on. And I feel like Japan, to be honest, this starting lineup, I don't think it will be a mile off what they go with in that game up against Argentina. Whereas for Samoa, when looking through at this lineup, I have to say it's not what I would have done. I think it's also what a lot of supporters wouldn't have gone with for this game. Duncan Paiaua coming into this contest was extremely out of form. I think Danny Tawala at fullback could have been the better option, and we actually did see that work a little bit better for the Samoans when he did make his way off the bench and Duncan Paiaua was playing more of that midfield role. Ben Lam, we saw him touch the ball very little in that last game that he played in. This game was no different and also ended up with that red card, but it did seem to be the bench for Samoa that helped get them back into this contest with the likes of a Malani Matavao, Alamana Matonga, and then Tawala alongside Narea Famai, and also some nice work from Sama Malolo later on in the game as well. But the big question mark now is where from here for both of these sides. So Argentina, they are going to be taking on Japan next week. That is going to be an exciting game, and that will actually determine who is the other side that make their way through to the quarterfinal. For Samoa, they have got a tough game up against the English, but if they can put it on a decent showing, give everyone that little bit of hope for the Samoans moving forward, I think that they could challenge England if they get their selection right. That is the big if though, and also that discipline alongside it. But thank you all very much for tuning into this very short review. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the match in the comments as well. and I will see you all for the next one.